Hi, everybody. I'm going to keep it simple. My name is Thomas Anderson. I am the last government watchdog. I'm doing this podcast, video, blog, because as I've been doing research over the last 16 years and working with the media behind the scenes, and also writing my own pieces, I've just realized that there just isn't enough coverage, believe it or not, on the type of stuff that I'm digging up every day. And it's the type of stuff that I think needs to be shared with the world because it keeps me calm every day. It keeps me in a position where I pretty much know what's going on. I may not like what's going on, but I know what's going on. I understand it. And it's all based upon the numbers. It's based upon campaign finance documents. It's based upon lobbying, disclosure documents. Basically, all the public documents that I've spent 16 years digging through. I use those to let me know and to inform me on what's going on in the world on any topic or any political subject that's currently going on. And it's been great for me because I've been able to do a lot of work over the years, and I'm at a point now where it's time for me to start sharing, and it's time for me to start. I can't really teach what I do because it took me a long time to learn this, but I can share with you, anyone who's watching, um, sort of what I'm seeing and give you an explanation for what I'm seeing, and also give you the documents and the evidence behind what I'm seeing. So that way you don't have to just trust me, you can actually verify. So, with that said, I want to cover a few things. First of all, I've been really busy. The reason why I haven't done a video lately is because I've been revamping everything. And I want to cover a few things today with you of the revamped platform. The first thing is Last Government Watchdog. It was the original idea I wanted to run with, but I needed to perfect it first. So I used the intermediary platform called the Black DC to sort of work out all the kinks. Now I'm in full form. And what I'm going to discuss today is a few topics that I've been working on since I've been putting this thing together. If any of you have been paying attention to what I've been writing, one of the main things I want to talk about is Jay-Z and the Illuminati. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And the reason why is because that plugs into a lot of what's happening politically today. I'm also going to talk about Senator Bob Menendez, Gold Bar Bob. There's some news there. Got a lot of stuff going there, but wrote a piece there where he's taking his wife hostage, basically, and I'll explain some of that. I also have a piece. There's a piece out today I helped the Free Beacon with covering the race in Maryland, Senate race in Maryland. So there's a piece there. And also want to talk about Joe Biden and the Biden administration when it comes to what's happening with the protests in Israel and the war in Gaza. Um, because right there, Biden's pretty much trapped, and I don't know if anyone really realizes it, but he's in a precarious position. His administration is in a bad spot, and no one's really looking at it the way it should be viewed right now. And hopefully, if anyone out there with some influence can hear and can pay attention and look at what I'm saying here, hopefully, someone in the media space out there can get some word out to for people to get a move on this because it's a big problem. Now, up until now, I've been doing a ton of research. I've been Up until now, I've been doing a ton of research behind the scenes, especially on Senator Bob Menendez. But I've been doing a lot of stuff involving the presidential race with Trump and these guys that did some Ted Cruz stuff. So let's just get on to the first topic I wanted to cover, and that's the Menendez Senate issue. So right now we have a case where a sitting U.S. senator is about to face charges in a federal courthouse in Southern District of New York. He's facing charges of bribery. He's facing charges of acting as a foreign agent for Egypt and Qatar. That trial should be starting in the middle of May. I've been covering it now going almost 12 years. So I'm one of the few people who knows probably everything about what's going on here. One of the reasons why I'm talking about it now to you guys is because he's doing some maneuverings in court that everyone in the public should know about, no matter how this case turns out one way or the other. Because he's powerful. He's been using his position, his seat, as leverage against, I believe, against the leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer. He's been using his vote, the threat of not voting the way the Democrats need in order to stay on. He temporarily left his position as leader of Foreign Relations Committee. He didn't permanently step down, and he's looking to run for office again if he gets off of this potential conviction that he's facing. As an independent in New Jersey is what he's trying to do. If he does that, most likely the Republican will win. So that's how hell-bent he's on. He doesn't really care about anybody at this point. He's really, if you think about it, he's looking for a way to get out of this without losing his benefits. As I wrote in one of my pieces, the problem he has is that if he's convicted on acting as a foreign agent or for bribery, those are two convictions where the Senate can take away his benefits and his health care and everything. So he could die. He could live a very hard life. So he's facing jail time and the loss of all of his benefits that he's built up over the years as a public official. So he's really facing it. I don't know how many. The media really hasn't reported heavily or thoroughly on just what this guy's facing. He's facing some stuff. All right, at his age, he's 70 years old. So this is crunch time for him. And because of that, and if you haven't been paying attention to the case, well, his lawyers, 12 papers got together to try to unseal some documents in his case that his lawyers had sealed. What they sealed was his defense, and his defense is going to be to blame his wife for acting as a foreign agent. That's his defense. Now, I think we had one of the View co-hosts went on television a week and a half ago, 2 Fridays ago, and said that they think he's innocent, that the wife did do it all. The issue is this, all right? Whether she did or didn't, we don't know. We have to see the trial, okay? Maybe the man is innocent. He gets his day in court. Here's the problem. He's right now paying for all of his wife's lawyer fees, which is millions of dollars. On top of that, his wife came down with a mysterious illness where now her case has to be tried after his, okay? After his. So she doesn't have to testify against him in his case. So it's possible that he could get off by blaming her in his case, and then when her trial comes up in July, she takes the fall for everything, because how does she pay for her lawyers unless he pays for them? Why would he want to pay for them if he just got off of his conviction? Wouldn't he just want to divorce her at that point? Right? So he's created a situation where he controls her, right? He controls her through paying her lawyers. But it's worse than that. Apparently, with all of his strategizing, somehow, some way, she ended up lying to her attorneys or having her attorneys lie to the feds. So now her attorneys that she did have, that he was paying millions of dollars for, they've stepped away from the case. So she doesn't even have attorneys. So his wife is going into a trial where she could spend a considerable amount of time in prison. She's going into trial by herself now. She doesn't have any attorneys, and she's sick. And she's depending on the senator's health care benefits in the Senate. She's depending on his money to pay her attorneys. So what is she going to do? As I wrote in my piece, this looks like to me he's got a hostage, basically. That's what it looks like. And it's serious because if a powerful member of Congress, a powerful member of the Senate can do this to a private individual, what's happening with her, and the media doesn't cover it. As a matter of fact, you have The View out there covering it as if that it's possible that this woman pulled the wool over this man's eyes. The chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee got tricked by a woman into being an agent for Egypt. He got tricked into getting gold bars stuffed in his closet, cash stuffed in his closet, and coats. I mean, but that's going to be his defense. Let's see if it works. We'll see. We will see. Now, another piece was, I had a piece today. Andrew Kerr wrote a piece I worked on. So Andrew Kerr had a piece that I worked on, and he really good piece on Congressman Trone out of Maryland. He's running for the Senate in Maryland against Maryland's former governor. And so that dealt with, so Trone owns Total Wine, which is a huge beer and wine company with locations all over the country. He's basically a billionaire from that, him and his brother. And when you look at his financial disclosures, he's missing a lot in there. He's not disclosing all the different assets that he owns. He doesn't disclose all of the different memberships that he has in different LLCs. There's just a lot there. So I'm quoted in there. I gave the Free Beacon some research on that and the rules when it comes to financial disclosures. And even if you have an LLC that didn't make any money one year, you still have to disclose that you're a member of it. And if you're a billionaire and you've got dozens and dozens of LLCs and some of them are being used to do $20 million loans, you should probably disclose that. That's the kind of stuff that isn't being disclosed. And so, like I said before in the past, if anyone's read my stuff, I've said, I believe in the broken window theory of law enforcement, not on local people, but on government officials and politicians. I believe that we should be going after the little things that they do wrong, right? We're not trying to kick them out of Congress or berate them, but when they do little things, we need to say, hey, man, that's not right. Okay, give them a fine or something, give them a warning. That keeps these guys on the straight and narrow, and it keeps them from becoming corrupt monsters down the road, I believe. All right, so other thing I worked on was Jay-Z. Jay-Z and Illuminati, man. So first off, I don't believe in the Illuminati. I feel like that's a slogan. That's a thing that Jay-Z has sloganeered and fostered and helped grow. It's a good thing for him to do, I guess, for his brand. And for the political machine that he's a part of in New York City, they need a brand. They should have a brand. And here's the reason why. I consider the Queen's Machine, which is what I wrote about on Jay-Z in my Substack, I consider that to be maybe the most powerful Black American political organization in the history of the world. My opinion. More powerful than the past Harlem guys. The Queen's political machine, they are all that. Now, their sloganeer guy, their mascot is Jay-Z. He is not the brains, okay? But he's sort of a hype man for the Queen's political machine. And if you think about what they are, just think about this for a second. Former Attorney General Eric Holder is in that group of guys. All right? So this is a powerful group of politicians, very educated men, clergymen, hardworking. This is a story that hasn't been told that needs to be told. And so I'm writing about Jay-Z, the Illuminati, and the Queen's Machine. It sounds like it's all negative, but nah, I'm actually trying to show the public and the world, just how much this organization has done over the past 3-4 decades, just how powerful they are, just how far their reach goes throughout the world, all the things that have been done because of them. I mean, it's amazing. Their story is an amazing story. And I just wrote one part of it, just the intro basically, but there are just so many more pages to write about those guys and their adventures and what they've done over the years and what they continue to do. So some people were like, oh man, you're writing about the Illuminati. Nah, man, I'm trying to reveal to the world that, hey, stop talking about the Illuminati and start looking at reality and start looking at, some of these politicians. What are they really doing? When you start doing that, you start to realize that the mystique goes away. But on top of that, it's not like what you find are politicians who are useless. Nah, man, what you find is these guys are actually useful. They do a lot. They do things like negotiate international hostage negotiations. I mean, this is what these guys are doing. And they don't really get credit for it, but that's what they do. Their impact economically around the world, I just can't say enough. So that's what I'm doing when I'm covering those guys. And some of it is bad. Some of it is corrupt. But you're going to get that in any kind of political machine, especially out of New York City. You're not going to get a bunch of choir boys there, okay? Like, that's a rough place politically. I mean, it's no joke. So you're going to get guys who are crossing over the line, doing things a little shady. You're going to get guys who are not shady, who look shady because they're with a bunch of shady. You get all that, but the good thing is I've been around it for a long time now. I've been researching it for a while. I've been working with the New York City press for over a decade on all this stuff, so I have a pretty good handle on, who they are, what they're doing, and I'm going to try to tell the story of what they're all about, what they're really all about, which I think is a great American story that everyone should know about. What else do I have here? Okay, Joe Biden. Um, I want to cover this because this isn't going to be covered in the media. I'm not doing this podcast type thing to get a bunch of clicks or a bunch of subscribers. I'm not going to ask for you to subscribe or leave a comment. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it. I've been practicing it and everything else, and that's not me to do. It's not me to do. If you want to subscribe, you can. If you find what I'm saying useful, fine. So on Biden, maybe you find this useful, maybe you don't, okay? But it's important that people hear it because we are caught as a nation between choices that I believe aren't real, and the real choices aren't being discussed. So it's a big problem. So I want to kind of discuss the real choices here and what's really happening. So when you really, really, really look at what's happening with the protests around the country, it's a huge trap for the Biden administration, almost in whatever they do. And it's a trap that's been set up by their enemies for a long time now. And from the looks of it, they're walking right into it. To give you an idea of what kind of trap this is, you can see that Donald Trump is out here saying that October 7th is fishy to him, that he's publicly stated that, look, Bibi and Israel knew that Hamas was going to attack that day. Trump is saying publicly thousands of people knew. And so Trump is publicly stating, hey, October 7th was a rigged job to help Bibi start a war, to attack people. That's what Trump is out here saying. It's not me. That's what Trump is saying. So while Trump is out here saying that, none of his people on his side are calling him out for it or saying a word. They're letting him just run wild and say that. And that's fine. He's saying that. So while he's saying that, you've got a situation where the Biden administration has to deal with civil unrest because college students here and civilians here are looking at the war over there and they're saying, nah, man, not right. College students are always protesting against wars all the time. It's a thing that happens in America. And so we have that happening. That's a big problem for Biden. The reason why it's a big problem is because they can't really crack down on these protests because the protests aren't illegitimate. Like these kids are there's actually a real war happening. There's actually real starvation. There's actually real issues. Now, people like Ben Shapiro and others have framed this issue into it's either you're against Hamas or you're for Hamas. And so they framed it in a way so that if the Biden administration doesn't crack down on the student protesters, they're supporting the terrorists. We have a terrorist supporting government now. This is the frame job. And the reason why Ben Shapiro and these guys have framed it this way, plain and simple, is because it forces the Biden administration to blindly support whatever Bibi Netanyahu does in that region. Whatever it is. Whatever they have to support. Because if they don't, at home, they're going to face a backlash of supporting terrorism and supporting anti-Semitism is what's going to happen. Now, unfortunately, for the Biden administration, what that leads to is basically a blank check. In a region that's known when you give blank checks, bad things happen. So the Biden admin is going to have to sit with this in their lap heading into an election. Whatever happens in Israel going forward, any attack on Iran, anything that spreads from there, anything that happens going forward, the Biden administration will have to take responsibility for. On top of that, they're going to have to crack down on student protesters, right? And so all of this makes it so that the Biden administration limps into November, struggling, because it's going to be hard to win in November without the support of young people. Young people aren't going to support this administration if this administration is putting dogs on them and cracking their skulls at protests. You see the trap that Biden's in? This is a serious trap. It's really serious. And here's the thing, if Biden were to not crack down on the protesters, if Biden were to do anything to support the Palestinians, then you're going to have across the board media reaction in the United States attacking him as being pro-Hamas. Like, this is where the thing has been framed on him, right? In the meantime, Trump is going to be out here saying the entire time, hey, October 7th was rigged. Think about that for a second. Trump gets to tell the young people out there, hey, I know they rigged October. Bibi did that on purpose. He let it happen on purpose. This is what Trump is saying. So while Trump is saying, hey, that happened on purpose, they wanted it to happen over there. Bibi wanted it to happen. Turn around and Biden is supporting Bibi Netanyahu. What does that look like? Then on top of that, his administration cracks skulls of kids around college campuses around the country, puts dogs on them. And then we don't know how the fallout turns out over there in Israel. We don't know how bad this gets. This has turned into a regional war as all hell break loose. All of that will be blamed on Biden heading into an election. So when you look at it, you'll notice guys like Ted Cruz, he's spending his time right now putting lines into bills to make it so that we have to pay more junk fees to airlines. That's what he's doing. And the reason why he's doing that is because he's winning. He's winning because he knows he can just sit back. In the position they have the Biden administration in, it's a lose-lose for them. Either way it goes, these guys are chilling out. So that's the problem here with the Biden admin. It's not being reported. No one's really touching on it, right? But we all should be thinking about it because that's how this issue needs to be perceived and viewed by the public as, well, this isn't really an Israel-Palestine thing. It's not. What it is what's really happening is this is a geopolitical thing, right? Where our country is in the middle of an election and our election apparatus is being used as leverage on this situation there and vice versa. So the two are feeding off of each other. And they're both feeding off of each other in order to eliminate Biden as a candidate, basically, to make it so he can't win. Now, I'm not here to support Biden because I don't support Biden, and I'm not here to support Trump. I don't support either one. I'm of the mindset that we've gone to a place now in America where some of us can be against all of them. And I'm one of those guys. I'm against every single one. All of them. I'm sorry. At the same time, I am for all of them too. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm against their political machinations, but I'm for them as American politicians. I want them to have success in whatever they do because I believe that even Trump has good intentions for America. I know. He does. Biden does too. I think anyone who wants to go through the hell of running for president does have good intentions at the bottom of it all for what they want to do. Now, maybe that doesn't come out. Maybe some of these guys are too twisted to allow that to come out of them, but I know it's there. And so I'm against them politically on all these machinations and all the craziness, but I am for them when it comes to hopefully they can succeed in whatever they do without it being violent. That's why I'm for them politically when it comes to them accomplishing their goals or whatever it is on either side. Okay, I want them to accomplish their goals in a peaceful way. That's what I'm for. What I am against is specific political policies these guys have. I have faults with all the policies because when you look at them all, you can see that they all have issues. And you know what? I'm in a position where I should be that way, I think, right? I spend enough time digging through this stuff and analyzing it that I probably should be against all of it because I can look at it all and see where all the bad things are and at least bring them up, right, for the public to see. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to ask for you to subscribe or anything like that, but come back whenever you want. I'll continue to cover topics like the ones I covered today. I'm going to get a little bit deeper into the Biden stuff because really, when you look at the other side of the issue, what you have is something that isn't even American politically. Okay, it's something foreign that's been plugged into what's going on here, and that's the part of this whole thing with Israel and Gaza that's, I think, causing issues, and that's the part that's kind of falling apart, and that's the part I want to talk about more in the future. But with that said, thanks for stopping by. My name is Thomas Anderson. Hopefully I'll talk to you again. Take care.